How goes the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you guys are having a great Thursday. The weekend is almost here, so life is definitely great. Today's subject matter is actually close and near and dear to me, to my heart, because I'm not going to be talking about an article today, but I will be talking about, the pros and cons of basically working for the private sector and working for the public sector, whether it's federal government, state government, local county government, city government, etc., you name it. Because when it boils down to it, working in any specific industry, there's pros and cons to it. And a lot of people, if they have more passion to it, about the actual industry that they're involved in, whether it's their business or whether they're actually working for somebody, they actually don't mind the cons as much, and because they know the pros always outweigh the cons, but that's just one personal perspective on that. But for the most part, most working adults, they know the differences, pros versus the cons of working for the private sector entities, having the pleasure of working for them, and having the pleasure of working for public service and whatnot on all government levels, Now, full disclosure, I'm not making this video to be anti-government. I'm not making this video to be anti-private sector. I'm not anti really anything except stupidity. But I definitely am pro people doing better and being better and learning, just like I learn something new every day, and us all becoming more financially literate all at the same time. Nothing but positive vibes here in this specific video. So if that's your thing, you're in the wrong place. But I digress. I'm making this video for people who are possibly thinking of making a career change to work for the government or work in the private sector, since I've had the experience of working in both sectors, and you make your own choice and find out what works best for you and your family. A lot of times some people say, well, having a job isn't for me. I actually just want to be an entrepreneur on other different levels, or I want to be an entrepreneur as a franchisee. Or a lot of people just day trade for a living and they do a heck of a good job. So it just depends on what your niche is. Everybody has their different things, so you got to go for it. Now, one great pro working for a government agency, especially if you are fresh out of college, fresh out of high school, fresh out of the military, you have the access to basically numerous amounts of training. They do a great job of training their employees, make sure their employees are knowledgeable and efficient individuals. Obtaining experience, learning more about how your actual government actually governs your city, state, county, country, etc., and so forth. So now one con, especially for a lot of millennials, my generation, is that the government can move a little slower than the private sector. Is that a bad thing? No, but for some people it might not be, because a lot of people, have a fast-paced lifestyle and a fast-paced mentality, and they don't want to wait on multiple things to ensure that they can live where they want to live, work in the actual career field that they want to work in. So they want to have options, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We live in a fast-paced generation society right now, and people love the option of having more options. So I don't see a problem with that, But, I digress. And with a lot of millennials, they do not want to have a traditional lifestyle. And I can totally respect that as well, because every generation is different. Every generation wants the same thing, but a little bit different all at the same time. But most people just want to be happy, have a decent lifestyle, relationship, children or not, live in a nice town, city, state, different country. But everybody, but for the most part, most people want to be financially secure and definitely be physically safe and in decent health. I think we can all agree on that. So, but, and there's nothing wrong with that, because a lot of things, like a lot of millennials don't want to, like you got the FIRE movement, which most people, if you don't know about it, it's basically people who make good money, but they live way below their means. They, in a sense that they don't go on vacation as much. A lot of times they don't even have a car. They do it's an older vehicle, so they don't have to worry about paying taxes or as much tax on it, or they don't have to worry about gassing the car up, or insurance is less on it, or there's no car payment, so they save a lot of money. So, but there's so many avenues when it boils down to this. When it comes to this generation and how they look at life, a lot of times millennials just don't want to settle down in one location to live for the rest of their lives, or settle down into one career and work that same specific career field for the next 40, 50 years of their lives. That's not as appetizing to them as it was previous generations. Is there anything wrong with previous generations did? No, it was great for that time period. Now we're in a different time period, so the mindset and the actions have to be different. Can be somewhat similar, but have to be somewhat different all at the same time. And a lot of traditional government positions, that is the mantra, and it makes it much harder for people to want to go and work at other organizations in other cities, states, and at times other countries. We all know that in today's job market, no matter what constantly occurs, an employee has to constantly keep their skills sharp and efficient, and obtaining additional sharp and efficient skills that gives them a better chance of remaining gainfully employed, because if not, you have a better chance of being downsized or being unemployed or underemployed. So, it's one of those things that you have to look into. Also, having a side business gives one a better chance of making more money and buying more assets if one has the right mindset. Most government organizations offers great benefits like medical, insurance, and before I even go, the mindset meaning that I know I'm an employee, I'm gonna be a great employee, but I know I can actually do something else when I'm off the clock. And the beautiful thing is when you have a home-based business or a business of any kind, you're going to get more tax write-offs than you will just being a homeowner, being married, having children. You're going to get more tax write-offs out of all those things. So that's another great thing. But back to the story at hand. Like I was saying, most government organizations offer great benefits like medical insurance, short-term and long-term disabilities, annual medical leave, stuff that no one should never take for granted, because for the most part, most people, when they take a day off, no work usually equals no pay. A lot of times when they have a medical situation, they don't have medical insurance, so they're scared to go to the emergency room because they know that bill's going to be astronomical. Okay? So never take those things for granted if you have them, because a lot of people don't. Government organizations have great, decent, their own versions of 401k retirement packages, which, after a few years, a young person or anyone in general can utilize that money to purchase assets such as real estate, franchises, investing in someone's business, or just investing in their own businesses, or just contributing to a significant amount of it so that they, you want to contribute as much as you can afford to your 401k retirement plan or any retirement plan that you have, so that when one is ready to retire, they will go out and actually be good to go financially, in a sense, and they'll be able to pull from multiple streams of it. You don't never just want to put it all into one basket. You want to have individual retirement accounts. You want to have index funds. You want obviously consult a financial professional. I'm giving you what I do. Okay, pull it from different mutual funds, cryptocurrencies, stocks, bonds, etc., and so forth, and see what works for you. Because when you do that as an efficient employee, then you can retire really when you want to. If you do it right, but everybody's different. And with the right financial consultant, when you consult them, then they can give you even better and more in-depth information that I will give you. So remember, everyone's situation is different, and just having one job and living in the same town and that one grew up in can definitely, for them, it might make them happy. A lot of people don't mind just being in one area their whole life. There's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, let's be realistic about this. You want to be happy, because at the end of the day, all the money in the world will not make one happy. It's all about, having money is just a tool to keep you in a safe zone. But it's all about community, that you live in, the circle that you have in your home and outside of your home, because you got to have a circle outside of the home. Your family, all that. Money is a tool for survival and be able to create assets if you want to. Now, what's the perks of working for the private sector? But it's like I said, at the end of the day, you have to make those strategic decisions on your own and make sure you have the right people in place in your circle, because like I said, we're all in this together at the end of the day. And I'm glad I'm finding more and more people with the money mindset. I love that, and I know we're going to do great things, and I hope you find just your financial investing circle, because everybody needs to have one, even if you're going to work for somebody the rest of your life. One thing I always admire about a lot of immigrants is they could work a job forever and a day, but they have I call it a money mindset circle, to where they could be working at Walmart or McDonald's, or they could be a landscaper, or cleaner, or general contractor, but they have a circle of people, whether the men and women, that discuss money and ways to make more money and ways to grow assets and all that good stuff. That real collectivism. Is it perfect? No, but nothing is. That's why I'm doing this pros and cons video right now, because nothing is perfect. But you find out what can help get you ahead in the future. that kind of collectivism, because none of us can do this alone. So that kind of collectivism can take us to the next level. And that's why we can't have the 1980s, 70s mentality. That was good for then. We're in 2020. We have to have a 2030 mentality, in a sense, in my personal opinion, when it comes to your finances and your financial circle. And if you don't have a financial circle, try to find one. If it's not online, then go to an event. There's no matter where you live at, as long as you're within an hour or two distance of a major city, there's so many financial events going on, and like-minded people like yourself that are doing what you're doing or doing what you want to do or trying to do what you want to do in life, and you can connect with those people. So, but like I said, I've gotten off track like I always do, because like I said, this subject matter is near and dear to my heart, so I could talk about this forever and a day. Excuse me. One big thing is nowadays that a lot of companies are downsizing the size of the not even just employees, but a lot of times the size of the buildings that they actually conduct their businesses in. Now, corporations are allowing more and more of their employees to work remotely from home, which is for the most part improving the quality of life for a lot of people. So it's actually, in a sense, it's not good that people are being laid off, but the upside to it, because pros and cons, the people who are remaining employed at a lot of the big corporations or smaller companies, they're having the opportunity to actually work from home. I mean, I remember reading an article the other day. The state of Oklahoma was actually, I don't know if it actually went through. This was last year. A buddy of mine told me about this. Because they're trying to increase their population, that if people who make a certain amount of money and have a remote job can basically become a resident in the state of Oklahoma, the state of Oklahoma will give them actually like a stipend every month. I think it was like $2,000 or $3,000 a month just to live in their state. So, and I think that's a great incentive to have people want to live in your state. Hey, we're going to pay you kind of like Alaska does. People get a oil stipend every month and whatnot. So I think that's an awesome thing. I know other states are doing the same thing when it comes to incentives and things like that, and I think that's awesome. I know Tennessee's doing it, Maine is doing it, I think Kansas is trying to do it. So states like that, I think that's awesome. You got to give somebody an incentive to want to live where you want to live at. So hey, I mean, it is what it is. But, once again, currency. Everything always boils down to the currency, and you got to have currency in your circle. And studies have shown that quality of life has gone up for a lot of people because they have, more time to spend with their family. They can have more. They don't have to sit in traffic. They're actually saving money because they're not having to commute, so they're not paying tolls, no gas. Maintenance on the car is less, things of that nature. They don't feel like they're missing the moments when it comes to being with their significant others. And I think if more people had the opportunity to do that, I think more relationships probably wouldn't fail either. But I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying, when you don't have to spend so much time in the office and you can actually spend it at home, the place you actually pay to live in, I think the quality of life definitely goes up, but that's just my personal opinion. Now one con working in the private sector is, and this is a big con, and I faced this con, I think most people having a job have faced this con. One of the biggest cons is that most states are right to work states nowadays, and corporations do not have to have a reason to terminate employees. Now, with that being said, more and more employees need to have some sort of a investor/home-based business ownership mindset, because with the chances of you being terminated for any reason or no reason at all, and it's in everyone's best interest to have at least 3 months of savings. I was talking to a person about this today, or up to 6 months to a year, which I would prefer, worth of savings for your mortgage/rent and all of your bills, because life is like the weather. And rainy days will come, wintry days will definitely come, and you have to be prepared for the storm, okay? Because no one's here to save you. Everybody's out for themselves. In regards to, you have to take care of yourself. It's nice to be able to reach back for services when you need them, but if you are an able body and you can do stuff, do it while you can. Especially do it while you're young, because when you get older, you're going to want to chill and not have to work so hard. Nothing wrong with working hard when you're older, but you're not going to want to have to work as hard. You want to try to enjoy life as much as possible, because you never know, tomorrow might be your last day. Today might be your last day. And I'm not saying that to be evil or anything of that nature, but we have to start appreciating every single moment that we're on this planet. Period. Life is a golden jewel, and we have to take care of it as much as possible. So that's all I'm saying. You have to prepare for the rainy days. Finances. I always say put your finances up there as much as you love buying Jordans, as much as you love watching reality TV, as much as you love watching sports. Being financially literate needs to be past that love that you have for doing those specific things of being entertained. My personal opinion. I'll leave it at that. Now, no matter what level of employment you're in, you have to have a financial backup plans nowadays. That's just, there's no other way to put it. And remember, I'm not a financial professional or consultant, but I am a person who like most people, have fell on hard times financially in regards to have other, basically when I lost my job a couple years ago. However, I had other money saved up to ensure that I didn't have any issues, and I was able to pull from those resources until I found another job, But that's my mindset. That's how I think, So instead of buying the new clothes, let me put this money away. Instead of hooking up my car, let me put this money away. Instead of, getting the new iPhone, let me put this money away. That's my mindset. You have millionaires now who are living frugal as a person that makes only $40,000 or less a year. Okay, why? Because they know that the rainy days will come, and they know that being frugal is in everyone's best interest. Even if you do make a lot of money, doesn't mean you have to be exorbitantly cheap. However, it is in your best interest to see your bank accounts and your revenues and your assets climb more than you see your debts. That's that. I call that final debt balance. Like, you have work-life balance, have your financial literacy / debt balance. That's just my personal opinion. Don't play around with your financials, family. Period. Because the crazy thing is, and like I said, this is a person who saw other people that didn't have resources to pull from. And they did not have any other help, any financially, and they were barely getting unemployment when they lost their jobs. Because to me, they were living a lifestyle like they were 17 and hey, I could just live for the day and not worry about tomorrow nonsense. And they were put into positions to where they were homeless, or they almost became homeless, or they had to go live in their parents' house and whatnot, because they either they weren't playing the financial game right, or if they were, but they were with somebody who, a significant other, that wasn't playing the financial game right. I'm reading Kevin O'Leary's book, and he talks about, hey, talk about money in your relationship. I couldn't agree with him more. I mean, there's a reason why the divorce rate is very high. And a lot of people, was talking to a gentleman the other day, he said he got divorced, and that's why he's still having to work and live in a specific area, because he's paying alimony. I'm not talking bad about marriage. I'm just saying, bring money into the conversation before you walk down the aisle. Bring money into the conversation if you're going to get deep into a relationship, because money matters, because you need it to live. Okay, don't play around. And I always say this: I'd rather look broke and have healthy bank accounts and assets than look rich and have $30 in my bank account waiting on my next paycheck. No, thank you, family. That's just me. And this goes to being, being a government employee. If a government shutdown happens, which it has, and probably future shutdowns will happen, or like in other states where during the economic downturn, a lot of states had to cut their budgets significantly to where city and state employees couldn't even work full time. People were basically, their pensions were cut. People who worked for their pensions lost them. And this has happened in states all over the United States of America, Don't bring the political nonsense into the equation. Blue and red states, cuts. Okay. So with that being said, and then people get terminated, it's where people lose their jobs temporarily, they lose their jobs permanently. It's like, this stuff happens. There's no such thing as a safe job. I will stress this again. There is no such thing as a safe job. And I really wish people would get that out of their mindset. Okay. I don't care how many degrees you have. I don't care how many certifications you have. There's no such thing as a safe job. Get that in your mind. Okay. Now, there is such thing as a great job. I've had great jobs, okay, and work for awesome companies, work for awesome government organizations, and there are a lot of companies and government organizations that are doing a great job at retaining their employees and things of that nature. But, there's no such thing as a safe job. I can't stress that enough. Now, it's like they're doing a lot of great things, but you have to have your backup plans. That's really, at the end of the day, the moral of this video is truly have a backup plan, because a storm will come. It's like the Game of Thrones. Winter is coming. Winter always comes. So are you ready for it or what? Okay, because there's a lot of great corporations, small businesses out there that are just like the government. They offer great medical plans and 401ks and other benefits purchase stock programs, short-term and long-term disability plans. As I said, I'm not downing corporations. I'm not downing the government. But what I am saying is you have to have the backup plan, period, because things will happen. But even in the private sector, I talked about a government shutdown or budgets being cut. With the private sector, not only you having to deal with the right to work thing, but however, businesses always have the chances of losing customers. Like I said earlier, with the economic downturn, going out of business, being bought out, and hey, we've been bought out and they're not going to retain the workforce, or they're only going to retain half the workforce. This stuff happens. Corporate mergers happens all the time. However, one great pro for working with the private sector is that you have the opportunity to live in other cities, states, and at times countries, and get so much exposure to different cultures, to different opportunities, and more. Get the network, etc. One example, one of my Facebook friends just posted today that he's actually working for a corporation, and he's actually been all over the world. He's been all over the world and making great money with them, and he's been enjoying every single moment of it. From the DMV area, District of Columbia, Maryland, Northern Virginia area, and he's enjoying it. Another one of my friends on Facebook, announced today that he's leaving Virginia and moving to Texas to become a manager of a major retail chain. It's a new adventure for him, and he's going into the Army Reserves. So he's doing two different things. Like I said, that's what it's all about. Options. Okay, say if that store closes down, he could go active duty and he'll be straight, and you get those military benefits. That's what it's all about. Having those, hey, serving this country, getting the good benefits, that's what it's all about. Having those multiple sources of income, having those different options. Don't put it all into a job. It is not in your best interest. I'm gonna call it like I see it, call it like I see it. And with the government agencies, they have a lot of great things going on as well. Excuse me. One can do the same thing. They have a lot of great global opportunities. You might want to go live in another country, maybe another state, or for the most part, those opportunities are limited sometimes, and usually short-term and not long-term opportunities. One of my other friends lives, she lives in Europe right now, working for a government agency the last few years now, and she's been loving it. Post pictures and, just having a great time over there. And I just think that's an awesome thing, because you never know when these moments are going to be able to come back. You never know when you're going to get this shot again. So you got to seize the moment. Going old school like the old Eminem 8 Mile movie. It's your moment. Use it. So and like I said, you have to just weigh your options at the end of the day and see what works for you. Because what works for me might not work for you all. So I know for me, when I pick up and move somewhere, I want to be there for at least good, or at least for the next 10 years. That's just me personally. That works for me. Everybody's different. So at the end of the day, there are pros and cons to when it comes to, damn near anything. Okay. And also there are pros and cons to being an entrepreneur all at the same time. My ending message when it comes down to this video is it's in everyone's best interest to have significant amount of savings, assets, investments, your own business or businesses, or your own stake in business or businesses, and so on, because rainy days will come. There's no other way to say it, There's no other way to say it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's a little bit longer than a lot of my other videos, but I just had to really get this one off my chest. And like I said, just remember, we are in a time where this next decade, we're in 2020. And this next decade is going to be a true test for those people, for a lot of people. Because if the message isn't clear, multiple sources of income. Sorry about that, family. For some odd reason, my microphone stopped working. But anyways, multiple sources of income, as I was saying, is a necessity. And if you don't make it a necessity for you and your family, then in the next 10 years, I guarantee you, no matter who the president is, no matter who runs your Congress, no matter who your governor is, life is going to get harder. So pay less attention and start paying more attention to financial literacy, financial education, because we truly have no choice. So hopefully you guys liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up. Please share. Check out my Carrot Bars. Hey, sign up, become an affiliate. We can be gold partners together, investing partners together. We got to have currency going on together. Check out the online store for any specific merchandise that you might be interested in for yourself, your friends, your family, etc. And hopefully you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Take care.